Welcome to the classes of Shiksha Angan Senior. So again I'm discussing with you a new course code, Block 1 Unit 1 MES 012, Education, Nature and Purposes. I hope you all are good, you all are well, and uh, and we are also excited to learn more about each and every course code of MA education, and we are also learning each and every course codes and also discussing each single unit in a day. So it will help you a lot to get a better understanding about each and every unit. If you start learning each and every course code from day one, then it will make the concept, it will give you a clear concept, and also it will also help in examination to write a proper answer of each and every question. So without wasting time, we will move to our new unit from a new course code. So today we are going to discuss about course code MES 012, Education, Nature and Purposes. So from this unit, unit 1, block 1, we are going to discuss about concept and meaning of education. So don't I also want to clarify you one thing, that without seeing this slide, please don't get worried. This, it is designed in a new way to make the chapter a bit attractive and also a bit presentable to you, so that you also get interest, so that you also grow an interest in you to learn more about this unit. So let's move to the unit. Initiation into worthwhileness, moving beyond. So if we say education, initiation into worthwhileness, moving beyond schooling and training to understand the philosophical craft of true education. Initiation into worthwhileness. So education is not about learning about, is not to learn about the schools, its administration, its education system, or how to train a person. It is training, providing training is also part of education, but that is not the main motto of education. It is it's a craft. It's a, if you see education in the perspective of pedagogy, then we see, we came to know that we get to know that it is a science, it is an art of making a true human being. It's a philosophical craft of true education. So let's move to the chapter. Education. What is the meaning of education? To know about education, first of all, it is very essential to know about the meaning of education. From which word the term education originated. At first, it is very essential to know. So education, we see, what is education? Is a dual foundation. Sorry. The dual foundation, providing, which provides a nourishing structured environment to draw out latent potential. So if we see education, if we notice the definition of education, according to our perspective, if we see just in a preliminary sense, So we see that it is a dual foundation which provides a nourishing, structured environment for drawing out latent potential. Now, let's see from which word, there are some words from that the term education derived. So these are all the these two are Latin words, educare, educiar. And I'm also going to tell you one more Latin word, it is educare, educiar, and another one is, this is not mentioned here, another one Latin word. Please don't mind anything by seeing this type of horrible writing, as I am typing by taking the help of the mouse of my laptop. So please forgive it. Okay. Uh-huh. 1 minute. Educatum. Educare. First word is educare. It is a Latin word which means to bring or to nourish. Care. Here you see the word care is mentioned. Care means to provide nourishment. To care, to provide nourishment or to bring up. Next is educiar. Educiar means to bring forth or to draw out. Educiar means to bring forward or to draw out, to take something out, the inner qualities. We say that please draw out, please take out, you have this quality, that person possesses this quality, that should be drawn out. So educia means to draw forth or to draw out. And next is educatum. Educatum means it is a component. It has two components. The word educatum has two components. Okay. What are these two components? E implies movement. The word E implies what? Movement. The word E implies here movement, and implies movement from what? From what aspect? From inward to outward. And duco implies to develop or to progress. To progress. This is the meaning of the word educatum. And another one, a Sanskrit word is also there. Shiksha, a Sanskrit term, shiksha, that means to discipline or to control. In Bengali, if we say, the word education has also developed from a Sanskrit word. Means in Bengali term is there, the shash. From that term also the word education has been derived. So there is a, if we see in a nutshell, if we see the origination of the term education, so we can say that it has originated from a Latin, it has originated from from the Latin word educare, educiar, educatum. These three are the Latin words from where the word education has been originated, and another one is the Sanskrit term shiksha, which means to discipline or to control. This is the origin of the words of the word of these are the origins from where the word education derived. Now next we will discuss distinguishing fact from value in educational theory. Distinguishing fact from value in educational theory. What are the distinguishing facts from values? In educational theory, now we will see what are the distinguishing facts from where these educational theories have been derived. First is descriptive theory. First is descriptive theory. Descriptive theory means what is. Like we say that in our daily life we say, or if we ask in a question answer manner, we say that what is this? What is the meaning of this and this term? What is the meaning of this and this object? We ask like this to know or to gather information about something. These are the descriptive theories. And other one is perspective or practical theories. That means what ought to be, what it can be. If we want to perform any activity, you may see practical. If you watch the term very minutely, then you will get an idea. You will get the idea that what we are going, the activity which we are going to perform, which we are performing, what it could be, what could be its result, what could be its outcome, or what could be its justification, etc., etc. This describes here. So, if we so now let's see in detail. Descriptive theory. In descriptive theory, the focus is on observes the actual role or function of education in practice. For example, socialization, resource building. In descriptive theory, the focus is given on the actual role. Focus is given on the role or the function of the education in practice. The function of education which is being practiced in whether in our daily life, whether in the society or anything else. Example, socialization, resource building, these are the examples. In case of perspective theory or practical theory, the focus is given on making specific recommendation to teachers about what should be done. So in perspective theories, the focus is given on making recommendation about what should be done. Suppose a person is going to perform some activity in his or her professional field. So before performing that activity, obviously there is a need of discussion, there is some need of planning, making plans and all. So to make a plan, the suggestions which are being given by the subordinates to execute a plan, and suggestions not only are given for executing the plan, also it is also suggested that what should be done according to that plan, according to that suggestions, according to the recommendation, what should be done to get a fruitful result, that also is being discussed during the time of planning. Similarly here, in case of perspective theory, focus is given on making specific recommendations to teacher about what should be done. Validation. Proven. In case of descriptive theory, validation is proven or rejected by checking against the empirical facts in the real world. So, in case of descriptive theory, validation can be proven or it can be rejected by checking empirical facts in the real world. And in case of perspective theory, it demands a complex justification involving empirical evidence and substantial value judgment. So in case of validation, if we see, in case of perspective theory, here validation demands what? Justification. Just now I have discussed in the previous point, justification. Whereas if we see the descriptive theory, if we give a notice about the fact, so what we saw that the facts can be proven or it can be rejected. Maybe there is a chance of getting it proved or getting it rejected. But if we see in case of perspective theory, here in perspective theory, there demands a complex justification. A justification is being demanded by involving the evidences and value judgments. So during the performing of the task, whatever evidences are gathered and whatever judgments are being provided by others, based upon that evidence and judgment, here a complex justification is demanded. There is, in case of perspective theory, there is a demand of a complex justification. You have to give justification that on what perspective, by gathering this and these evidences, what justification we see, or what is the impact, or what result we get from here by performing this activity by following these and these steps, by getting these and these judgment evidences and all this. So justification is required here. There demands a complex justification in case of practical theories or perspective theories. In descriptive theory stance, here the stance were the economist, the sociologist, psychiatrist. These names are mentioned here. But in case of descriptive theories, educator, philosopher, they have been presented here. Their role has been presented here. Now let's see the mechanistic model, shaping from the outside. Here a beautiful quote has been mentioned by Thomas Hobbes. Man as a wonderfully contrived machine composed of springs, wheels and levers. So if we see, this is a term related to physics, lever, wheel and all this. So, but beautifully described by Thomas Hobbes, that man as a wonderfully contrived machine composed of spring, wheels and lever. So what method here is mentioned? The method deliberate regulation and modification of behavior from external forces. So here as a method it is suggested that if we deliberately regulate and modify our behavior from external forces, then only we will become a complete human being, because our behavior should be built in such a way so that other person can't get hurted or can't feel disappointed just because of our behavior. So behavior modification, so in every human being some misconducts or some behavioral mistakes are noticeable. So it is better to modify. If we conduct any misappropriate, what I can say, if we conduct any sorts of mistake or if any mistake is done by ourselves, our behavior should be modified from the external forces where we reside, which we have to face in our daily life. And what is the process? Organizing desirable inputs, and by following which processes our behavior will be modified by organizing desirable inputs like knowledge, skills, attitudes to produce specific outputs. So for producing some specific outputs, knowledge, skills, attitudes, these are the desirable inputs which we have to utilize it for modifying our behavior. And the goal is producing a person whose external behavior meets the criteria of worth adopted by society. And what should be its goal? The goal should be producing such a person whose external behavior should meet the criteria of what? Should meet the criteria which is adopted by a society. And the advocates are James Mill and all this. And every name is not visible, but I am telling you the one name. And the advocate of mechanistic model is James Mill. You just note down the name of James Mill. Now next see organismic model. Previously, in the previous slide we discussed about mechanistic model, but now we are going to discuss about organismic model, growth from within. So man as a living, growing, developing creature, a natural whole where parts exist only as elements of that whole. Who said this? Friedrich Froebel. What is the process? The process is, it is driven by an internal dynamic and self-directed experience, not internal imposition. Here any internal imposition is not provided, is not used here. It is completely driven by internal dynamic and self-directed experience. What is this? What method is followed? method is aiding the unfoldment of natural propensities by fixing the environment so that the individual can grow without any hindrance. So what method is followed here? Here the method is followed by aiding the unfoldment of natural propensities, by unfolding the natural propensities, by fixing the environment so that an individual can grow without facing any hindrance or without facing any barrier. And what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is the self-realization and the complete development of an individual, complete development of individuality. Advocates of this organismic model may be here Rousseau, Rabindranath Tagore. They are the advocates or they are the supporter of this model. Now we will see aim versus purposes. The intrinsic nature of education. Aim, intrinsic, concentration of attention on the object being realized within the field of activity. The activity itself is worthwhile. Example, grasping the elegance of a mathematical proof. So here we see, if we notice carefully, there is a circle and at the center there is a point. So what is the aim here? This concentration of attention on the object which is placed in the center, the concentration. If we concentrate our attention on that object being realized within the field of activity, for realizing that what activity we are going to conduct. So the activity itself is worthwhile. The activity itself is worthwhile. For example, grasping the elegance of a mathematical proof. For example, if you want to grasp the elements on any subject, so what you have to do, you have to practice or you have to revise regularly. Just I am explaining you as an example. So you have to do what? First of all, obviously practice is required, and secondly, revision and regular classes and all these practices, activity, performing any activity, etc., etc. These are all essential to get a grasp on any respective subject. So here also, if we concentrate on that point, our attention, if we give a concentration in this point which is placed in the center, so whatever activity we are going to perform is being performed very successfully if we give concentration, if we concentrate our mind. That activity will be worthwhile to us. Now, what is the purpose? And the purpose is expressed as extrinsic. Motives external to the activity itself. It gives a motivation to the activity itself. For example, getting a well-paid job, social prestige, resource development. These are the extrinsic purpose. That means the purpose which have to be fulfilled externally. For example, to get a well-paid job, to have social prestige, resource development. These are all extrinsic purpose. So in case of motivation also, motivation is also expressed in two categories, which we will learn in the next course code. There also motivation is expressed as intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So now here I am not discussing in this unit, but we will discuss in the next course code. Now let's see Plato's synthesis: objective truth grasped voluntarily. How? What is being expressed by Plato? Molding matter, the necessity for and objectivity of standards and truths written into the contents of education. The necessity for, necessity which is the need which we want to fulfill, and objectivity, standards of truth which are written into the content of education. Growth or manner, the procedural necessity of allowing a children to see and grasp the concept through their own experience without coercion. And the growth or manner, the procedural necessity of allowing the children to grasp any sorts of concept through their own experience, through their own capability without any coercion. And this entire thing makes, so the educated state we get here, there are public truths and standards to be achieved, but coercing people into serving them or imprinting them on wax like minds is psychologically and morally unsafe. Whatever, it is not visible here properly. So just I am telling you the whole thing. So just I am telling you in a gist. So these are the public truths and standards which have to be achieved naturally by their, but through our own experience. But if we coerce people, if we force them, or if we imprint them on wax like mind, it is psychologically and morally it will be unsafe or unsane. It will not be fair to that individual. The conceptual shift. Education is an initiation into worthwhileness. Who said this? R.S. Peter. Intelligibility and voluntarism, introducing people to what is valuable in a way that respects their autonomy and comprehension. Intelligibility and validation, if we, and voluntarism, if we say that introduce the people to what is valuable to them in a way which will respect their autonomy and their comprehension, which will give him or her a respect. You introduce them to that. Second is the embryonic mind. The embryonic mind, transforming undifferentiated awareness into mastery of public tradition, language, and causal categories. In embryonic mind, it is said that by transforming undifferentiated into mastery of public tradition, language, and causal categories. Last is the desire to achieve. Creating an internal drive, by creating an internal drive in the learner to participate in various differentiated forms of knowledge like science, history, models, etc., etc. These are stated in the desire to object. What you desire to, no sorry, what you desire to achieve. By the desire to achieve means, here it is stated that by creating an internal drive in the learner to participate in various differentiated forms of knowledge like science, history, morals, etc., etc. Intersubjectivity, standing on the holy ground. Here you see there is an intersubjectivity triangle is there. Here in the first step there is the teacher. Second, there is a learner. Learner or growth practices mind test growing. The teacher became endo restrictions or overseas subject. The learner or growth practices mind test growing. Shared impersonality of method, not a detached operator altering a subject or nor a therapist imposing a pattern. Turning eyes outward, both owe allegiance to public criteria which is independent of personal belief. For example, truth in science, justice in morality. And there is the holy ground, the impersonal standards. The teacher's task is to get others on the inside of a public form of life that they share and consider to be worthwhile. Here the task of the teacher is to get others on the inside of a public forum, of a public form of life, so that they can share and consider to be worthwhile, so that they can consider them worthwhile. So here this concept is referred as shared objective by D.H. Lawrence. Shared objective space. Now we will see what education is not. What is not education? In the previous point, we are discussing about how from where the word education is being derived, the models of education, the theories, descriptive theories, practical theories, mechanistic model, organismic model, then the intersubjectivity triangle, etc. We all discussed up to here. But now we will see what education is not. What points are there? What points are there which doesn't expresses education? So let's see the points. Learning. First point is there, learning. It results in permanent or behavioral modification. Can be negative or undesirable. Versus education. Exclusively positive, desirable development of the whole person. So learning, if you see learning results in behavioral modification. It is true. If we learn anything, obviously modification will occur in whether it is in our behavior or whether it is in our way of thinking, way of living, etc. whatever. But that modification can be negative or undesirable. But education, it is exclusively positive. Development, desirable development is there of the whole person. There makes a desirable develop of the whole person. Instruction requires a purposefully designed, controlled environment to achieve a predefined goals. So it requires a purposefully designed, controlled environment for achieving predetermined goals. Versus education. Education can occur anywhere, anytime in controlled or uncontrolled natural environment. So if we see here that this is true, that education can occur anywhere, anytime, in any aspect, in a control or Whether the environment is controlled or uncontrolled, whatever the environment is, education can occur at any moment, at any time, at anywhere, at any stages. Schooling, consciously imparting knowledge in a formal fixed time frame according to societal needs. If we see schooling, school obviously imparts knowledge in a formal setup within a fixed time frame, because for our school life a fixed time frame is there according to the needs of society. And what education do? Education is a lifelong, broad range of continuous experience, continuous processes and experiences. Education is a lifelong process, and what it helps to gather a broad range of experiences. Sorry for the interruption. So we are discussing about the cognitive chasm developing training versus educating. So in case of training, what we see, develops the desired and specific skill by providing through instruction and practice. Here the goal is mechanical expertise and reliability of response. Here it lacks wider cognitive implication. But in case of educating, it requires a cognitive perspective, and it may be highly trained in a skill, but if they cannot see, their action uh, through historical, social, or moral aspects. Here, now we will see beyond the behavioral, dealing with emotion, beyond the behavioral, how to deal with our emotions, how to control our emotion, or how to train our emotion, because we possess emotion. We cannot say by noticing a person that he or she has no emotion, he or she doesn't possess any emotion, doesn't possess any feeling. Each and every individual has emotion, but how you can express it in a respective situation, how it could be controlled, how we can control our emotion, how we can express our emotion according to the situation, that is up to us. That ways are the ways are in our hands. The way of expressing the emotion is in our hands also. So if we go through practices, then we will be able to have a control of our emotion. So let's see, training emotions. Here you see there is, first one is drill, then appropriate habit of response, then unbroken code in emergency. Training emotion, what is this training emotion? A pattern of habits that will not be disrupted by fear or grief in public. It ensures reliability in limited situation. So training emotion is such type of emotion or a pattern of habits which will not be disrupted by due to any fear or grief in any public places or in a public forum. It ensures reliability in limited situation. And next is educating emotions, working information, value judgments, then comes system of belief, questions of justification. So moral education addresses what people believe. It incorporates fact, judgments, and complex social context. So moral education addresses what people believes. It incorporates facts, maybe justifications, and any complex social context. For example, moral education or value education, whatever, sex training, etc. Now we will discuss the balance of epistemology. See, there is a stand, but rather better to say uh, balance. We see in the market, whenever we go in a market, we see from measuring weight of fruit or vegetable, whatever, this object is noticed. You notice this object. So here we will, in the balance of epistemology, we will learn knowing how means procedural knowledge, and knowing that, propositional knowledge. So procedural knowledge, here it's a part of the four domains of knowledge: uh, factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, metacognitive. These are the four domains of knowledge. So we will discuss these four domains in another unit. Uh, but here we will discuss about procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge, what is this procedural knowledge? Skills with limited cognitive content, a matter of knowledge rather than deep understanding. Procedural knowledge means a skill which is being possessed by an individual with a limited cognitive content. It is a matter of knowledge rather than deep understanding. Here, deep understanding is not being emphasized here. Knowledge, a matter of knowledge. Gathering knowledge is emphasized here. For example, riding a bicycle, swimming, playing a hockey, valuable primarily as opportunities to acquire wider qualities of character. So here we see that riding a bicycle, swimming, playing hockey, these all belongs to the procedural knowledge. For example, procedure driving a car. So these all belongs to the procedural knowledge, because we have to do this activity by following a certain procedure. Without following any procedure, we can't perform these activities. Next, knowing that, propositional knowledge. Deep cognitive content that, when assimilated, illuminates and widens one's view of countless other things. Propositional knowledge means that it differs the cognitive content, which is when assimilated, illuminates and widens one's view of countless other things, which widens one's view of other things, means adds extra knowledges, addition of extra knowledges, which widens an individual's view of about other things. Example, history, science, literature, philosophy. A truly educated, a truly, I'm sorry, a, a truly educated person requires both allegiance to standard of truth, knowing of that, combined with the competence to act, knowing how. So this is the fact. Both things is required for a truly educated person. Allegiance towards the standards of truth, which is combined with the competence to act. So this is the fact. We can't ignore that, or we can't reject that fact. First profile, the profile of an educated person we discussed. Autonomy. So acts voluntarily according to the result of condition, not hypnotic suggestion or comprehension. So this is the second profile. Third is cognitive perspective. See what they are doing in a wider perspective. They notice the others that what they are doing in a wider perspective. An expert doctor who only treats patient for exorbitant fees is highly trained but fundamentally uneducated. Now, this is also true. An expert who has just acquired acquired the skills just for utility, just to uh, earn, to make his or her life smooth. So that person may be highly trained but fundamentally not educated, uneducated. Fundamentally, he or she could not be regarded as an educated person. Fourth is procedural mastery. Has been initiated gradually into both the content of a discipline and the critical procedures by which it is revised and assessed. So, in case of procedural mastery, has been initiated. It has been initiated. They have been initiated gradually into both the content of a discipline and the critical procedure by which it is revised and assessed. So if we see these four qualities in a person, then only we can say that yes, this person is an educated person. If these qualities lacks in any person, then that person cannot be regarded as an educated person. Next we will see the initiated teacher. We teach children, not subjects. How, by which qualities we can say that yes, this is an initiated teacher. This teacher is good. Inside the we teach children, not subjects. So to be a teacher is not only to teach subjects, not only to make experts in any respective subject. It is to teach children, or not only that, teaching and to make a complete human being for the future. Inside the experience. First point is inside the experience. The teacher is already on the inside of worthwhile activities. They recognize elegance, cogency and justice, and have a passion for truth. So first point is that inside the experience. A teacher is already on the inside of worthwhile activities. He or she just recognizes the elegance, cogency and justice, and had a passion and should have a passion for truth. Shared exploration. The culminating stage is a shared exploration of a common world. Humor is vital here. Laughing together steps out of the shadows of age, sex, and position. So, shared exploration. Here, the culminating stage is a shared exploration, the common world. It is fact. So, for this, humor is also essential. Laughing together by making some fun and all this. It steps out the shadow of age, sex, and position. Respect. Respect, this is also equally important, requires fraternity and some distinct centers of contingency than overly intimate relation. Respect is also essential, but that doesn't mean that you should develop an intimate relation, because in real life respect is essential in real life to make excessive intimacy or excessive what we can say friendliness with others. Excessive, anything excessive is not good, whether in case of relationship, whether in case of friendship or whatever else. Excessive is not good. So but that doesn't mean you should not keep respect, or you should not possess any sorts of respect for that person. You must keep respect, you must possess respect for that, but that should be within the limit. You keep respect, but your interaction, your way of dealing, that should be in a very limited way. Limited way in that sense that you have to decide on your own, that upon up to which level you uh, make your you will make the relationship with that person, or you will interact with that person, etc., etc. It is upon the human being. It will not be decided by others. So these are the 3 points which is essential for a good teacher. The ongoing journey. So to be educated is not to have arrived at a destination. It is to travel with a different view. This is the fact. So to be educated, it doesn't mean that you have to arrive at a certain destination. It is to travel with a different viewpoints. So what is required is not feverish preparation for something that lies ahead, but to work with precision, passion, and taste at the worthwhile things that lies at our hands. This is the fact. You have to keep this in mind. So we end our discussion here of Unit 1, Block 1 from course code MES012. In the next class, we will discuss another one course code, another one unit will be discussed. Till then, stay tuned, stay happy, stay blessed, and hope you like the class. And how is the class? How is your feeling about the class? Just make a comment on my YouTube channel, Shiksha Angan Senior. And those who haven't joined the channel still now, subscribe to my channel and get updates and also get updates about the classes, about the shorts. So if anybody missed any class of MA education, so subscribe my channel as soon as possible so that you can access the classes video of MA Masters program, and a separate playlist has also been prepared, and regular updates are also being made in the playlist. So if you feel any sorts of confusion, or if you missed any class, then you may check my playlist, Shiksha Angan Senior MA playlist. There you will get the videos of my previous classes. So we will meet in the next class. Till then, stay happy and thank you. Thanks to all. Bye bye.